more than 3,000 years, the cities of the Indus lay buried beneath layers of earth and time, forgotten, unmarked, and unnamed. No legends told of their builders, no ancient texts described their streets then. In the 1920s, everything changed. Railway engineers in British India stumbled upon mysterious bricks while laying tracks near the town of Harappa. What they had unknowingly uncovered was not just a mound, but the remains of one of the world's oldest urban civilizations. And after excavations began at Mohenjo-daro, what archaeologists found stunned the world. Broad streets laid out in perfect grids, advanced drainage systems, multi-story brick homes, all dating back more than 4,000 years. These weren't the scattered ruins of a forgotten tribe. They were the planned cities of a sophisticated Bronze Age people. Over the following decades, thousands of artifacts were unearthed: pottery, jewelry, seals, tools, and terracotta figurines. Each discovery added new pieces to a puzzle no one had known existed. But perhaps the most mysterious find was the Indus script. Hundreds of inscriptions carved into stone, still undeciphered to this day. Rediscovery of the Indus Valley Civilization rewrote the history of South Asia. It revealed that long before the rise of Vedic culture or empires, a powerful, peaceful, and deeply urban society had once flourished here, and then disappeared. And even now, a century later, its full story remains only partly told. A century after their rediscovery, the ancient cities of the Indus still stand, but they face new challenges. Today, major Indus Valley sites like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and Dholavira, recognized as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. This status reflects their global importance, not just to South Asia, but to the shared story of human civilization. Mohenjo-daro was declared a UNESCO site in 1980. Dholavira followed in 2021. These cities now draw researchers, students, and visitors from around the world. But with that recognition comes responsibility. Preserving ruins that are over 4,000 years old is no easy task. At Mohenjo-daro, the ancient bricks face intense heat, groundwater erosion, and seasonal flooding. Entire walls have collapsed after heavy rains. At Dholavira, saltwater intrusion from nearby marshlands threatens foundations. Harappa contends with modern encroachment, buildings, roads, and agriculture pressing in on the site's edges. Despite these challenges, preservation efforts continue. South Asian archaeologists and conservators work year-round, reinforcing walls, documenting layouts, and managing visitor access. Local communities are also engaged, learning the importance of protecting the past. Modern technology, from satellite mapping to 3D modeling, now helps monitor the health of these ancient cities. But time, weather, and human activity remain constant pressures the Indus cities endured for centuries. Whether they survive the next 100 years will depend not on ancient engineers, but on us. Although the Indus Valley Civilization came to an end, its influence did not across South Asia. Traces of its legacy continued to shape the cultures that followed. Agricultural techniques, including irrigation, flood control, and crop rotation, likely informed later farming practices in the Ganges plain and beyond. Crops first cultivated in the Indus, like cotton and barley, remained central to South Asian life for thousands of years. The Indus cities had pioneered brick construction, and that tradition survived. Later, towns and temples across the subcontinent still used sun-dried and kiln-fired bricks, often following similar proportions. Trade systems also endured long after the fall of Mohenjo-daro. Regional commerce in beads, textiles, and metals continued to link distant parts of the Indian subcontinent. Even standard weights and stone seals appear to have influenced later trade customs. But perhaps the most lasting legacies were cultural and symbolic. Religious motifs seen on Indus seals, like the pipal tree, horned animals, and meditative figures, have parallels in later Vedic and Hindu traditions. Some scholars suggest continuity in fertility symbols, ritual bathing, and the early use of sacred fire. The Indus script may be undeciphered, but its cultural imprint remains. South Asia's rich spiritual and artistic traditions did not begin from nothing. They grew from deep roots, some of which were planted in the brick-lined streets of the Indus. And though names changed, the memory lived on, not in writing, but in practice, belief, and design. For all that we've learned about the Indus Valley Civilization, so much still remains unknown. At the heart of the mystery lies their script, found on seals, pottery, tablets, and tools. The Indus script includes over 400 unique symbols, but without a bilingual inscription like a Rosetta Stone, it has never been deciphered. We don't know how it sounded, we don't know what it said, and until we do, key questions remain unanswered. We still don't know the name they called themselves, or how They organized their society. We have no confirmed records of kings' armies or laws, no clear evidence of temples or religious texts. What we do know is this: the Indus cities were unlike their ancient peers. They left behind no palaces, no empires, and no monuments to conquest, and yet they built one of the largest, most advanced urban cultures of the ancient world. Their planning, engineering, and peaceful design challenge everything we assume about early civilizations. Some scholars suggest a form of decentralized governance. Others see signs of a spiritual culture deeply tied to nature, fertility, and water. But without text to guide us, we're left with possibilities, not certainty. In the end, the Indus Valley remains one of history's great enigmas. What they believed, how they ruled, even what language they spoke, these are mysteries still waiting beneath the dust, and perhaps still waiting to be heard. Though the Indus Valley Civilization vanished thousands of years ago, its technological innovations continue to shape the world. Among their most remarkable achievements was the development of standardized weights and measures across vast distances. From Harappa, two lawful merchants used nearly identical stone weights, a level of economic coordination unmatched by most ancient cultures. This allowed for fair trade, tax collection, and storage systems that depended on trust and precision. Their cities also set a global precedent in urban infrastructure. The people of the Indus designed advanced drainage systems, covered street drains, soak pits, and private bathrooms connected to public sewers built more than 4,000 years ago. These systems weren't for the elite, they were used by everyone. It was urban sanitation on a scale that wouldn't be seen again until Rome, or even modern times. They were also pioneers in cotton textiles, the earliest evidence of cotton cultivation and weaving. Commies from the Indus region dating as far back as 2500 BCE. Indus cotton may have traveled through trade routes, eventually reaching Mesopotamia, Egypt, and far beyond. These weren't scattered experiments, they were systemic technologies planned, shared, and sustained. From uniform bricks and planned cities to scales, sewers, and cloth, the Indus legacy is one of engineering and design. They may have left no pyramids or written laws, but they gave the world something just as lasting: the blueprint for civilization built on balance, cleanliness, and practical genius. When the Indus Valley Civilization was uncovered in the 1920s, it didn't just rewrite the history of South Asia, it reshaped the global story of civilization. Until then, the ancient world was framed around Egypt and Mesopotamia as if complex society had only emerged in the West. But the cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro changed that. They revealed that as early as 2600 BCE, a vast organized and urban culture had flourished in the Indian subcontinent with its own architecture, economy, and systems, and no borrowed blueprint. This discovery forced scholars to reconsider what it meant to be a cradle of civilization. India was not a distant follower, it was a parallel origin. Since then, the Indus has become a vital subject of academic study around the world. From university classrooms to excavation trenches, researchers continue to piece together the civilization's mysteries, its cities, its script, its people. Sites like Rakhigarhi and Ganrawala still being excavated, new technologies, satellite imaging, isotope analysis, ancient DNA, pushing the field into new territory. Each discovery shifts the timeline, each artifact reshapes the narrative. The Indus Valley didn't just leave behind bricks and seals, it left behind questions that continue to challenge the boundaries of what we thought we knew, and in doing so, it hasn't only expanded our past, it has expanded the very way we study it. The Indus Valley Civilization stands today as more than just an archaeological discovery. It is a symbol of what indigenous culture can achieve without conquest, without empire, without borrowed blueprints. Here was a civilization that rose from the soil of South Asia, built by the hands of its own people. Its cities were not forged by war, but by civic planning, by community, by vision. For centuries, colonial narratives portrayed the East as technologically dependent, a land where progress came from outside, not from within. But the bricks of Mohenjo-daro and the drains of Harappa told a different story. They spoke of local ingenuity, measured, elegant, and far ahead of its time. The Indus script remains unread, and yet its silence challenges more than just historians. It challenges the idea that greatness must come with kings or conquest. The Indus people created complex systems of trade, sanitation, and standardization, not to glorify a ruler, but to serve daily life, and that is perhaps their most powerful legacy. Not only what they built, but how today the Indus stands as a reminder that some of humanity's most remarkable achievements can emerge not through domination, but through balance, cooperation, and quiet innovation. Thousands of years may separate us from the Indus Valley Civilization, but its presence has never truly disappeared. Today, its legacy continues to inspire urban planners, historians, architects, and artists. Its brickwork, water systems, and city layouts are studied in universities across the world, not just as relics of the past, but as blueprints for sustainable urban living. In South Asia, the influence runs even deeper. Motifs from Indus seals appear in art, textiles, and architecture. Modern infrastructure projects in India and Pakistan sometimes reference Indus water management principles, and in classrooms from Karachi to Kolkata, students learn that long before the rise of empires, their ancestors built cities based on balance, cooperation, and order. The Indus script remains undeciphered, but the civilization's symbols have become part of national heritage. They appear in museum logos, postage stamps, and even currency. For many, the Indus is more than a historical site, it is a source of pride. A reminder that South Asia's story begins not with conquest, but with creativity, trade, and civic life. It also remains a mystery, a civilization still half in shadow, inviting new generations to explore, interpret, and imagine. In a time of rapid growth and change, the Indus reminds us of what's possible when cities are built not for kings but for people.